What's going on, guys? Matt here, back again with another video. Returning with another episode of the Market Watch series, which is a series I haven't done in a while. And if you guys aren't familiar with this series, I go through some hot players at the moment and speak about some of my thoughts and also go through the hottest and coldest players at the end of each episode. So I'll try and return these a little bit more regularly, maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, just so we can see what's going on in the sports card market. Now that the NBA season's going on, the NFL season's going on, and the MLB season's about to finish up. So let's get into probably the hottest player of the past 30 days. From the Golden State Warriors, and that's Jordan Poole. So Jordan Poole is currently starting right now for the Golden State Warriors thanks to Klay Thompson's injury. And as we can see here over the last 30 days, he's had a massive jump in his sports card prices based on his preseason play as well as his season play as well. So I can actually pull up how much he's gone up. So Jordan Poole over the past 60 days. Yeah, there you go. Up 57% over the past 30 days. That brings it down to 43%. 14 days, 4%. Last 7 days, 1%. So mainly because the hype's sort of dying down again. But in my opinion, I do think it's a great time to sell some Jordan Poole if you don't believe in him a little bit more long term and you're more of a short-term reactive sort of investor like I am. The good thing with Jordan Poole is that he does have low pop cards. Like I'm looking at his Prism base here, PSA 10, PSA 9. 420 for a PSA 10 Prism base is actually pretty low compared to the other 2019 rookies. But to be fair, it doesn't really mean anything because it just means that people weren't as high on Jordan Poole when they were when you were able to send in cards like Zion, where he's got a bunch more, like way more than Jordan Poole. But yeah, I do think it's time to sell because people do have some cards in the backlog, and now that he's playing hot, people will be wanting to send them in. But to have this crazy increase in the past sort of period, even going through the last, I think we'll go back to the last 30 days. But even having this jump, where you could have got a Jordan Poole Prism base PSA 10 for $46, and now you can see the ending price is around $175, and I think that's warranting more of a sell. Even the Prism base PSA 9 going for $50 US, which is higher than RJ Barrett, Kevin Porter Jr. I don't know if it should be high. It should be lower than Ja Morant's, but I think you've got Jordan Poole as the third highest 2019 rookie, which I haven't actually looked up beforehand. But I think the reason to sell Jordan Poole is, well, there's a few reasons. You've got Klay Thompson to return eventually in January. He's going to take some of that shine off of Jordan Poole. Unfortunately, throughout the whole season, there's not a player that ever goes up and up and up and doesn't fall down at all. So I've studied this with a few players, and you can all observe this with players that are hot. You think that they're just going to have a consistent hot season, and it just doesn't happen. And even players like Luka Doncic, Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, I thought that, maybe these guys are just untouchable and their prices won't go down. But you're always going to see these dips, and that's part of a healthy market as well. And I think with Jordan Poole, I think that's just going to eventually happen. So for me, I think it's almost that right time to sell as it's sort of coming up. You've had a healthy increase. I mean, if you've bought in that period beforehand, you've already made a bit of money. I'll show a few examples of my eBay store actually. So I've blanked out all the names and stuff, but Jordan Poole Prism base, $20 there. I was able to sell it for on eBay. I mean, I think I got these for around $2 each last year. Jordan Poole to $99. This one's actually, I sold this right after the preseason because I thought he really couldn't go up after there. But as we can see, $90 there. I think the last comp was around $200 US for a jersey numbered one, which is a little bit annoying, but I mean, I got this one for $20 in the off season. So 20 into 90, you can't really cry over a lost profit there. Scope Concourse, got this one for around $7. So quadrupling your money, you just got to take it. In all honesty, I'll go over Kevin Porter Jr. after, but Revolution, $15 for a base card, another $15 for a Jordan Poole Prism base, $2 each, and then a Jordan Poole Hoops purple variant, $20 there for that. So all these cards for around $2 to $3 each. You're multiplying your money a fair bit, and look, Jordan Poole might be that contender for the most improved player of the year, or even potentially sixth man of the year when Klay returns, but that's just like, what is that ceiling, and whether you believe in him long term, I don't think it's a bad thing to sell some money off now. So I think that's a great example to talk through with Jordan Poole. For me, in my opinion, it is time to sell. So next player up, as you've just noted in my spoilers, we'll go through Kevin Porter Jr. So again, I'll go through and see how he's gone over the past sort of period. So last 7 days, I know he's down 5%. Last 14 days, 8%. Last 30 days, up 1%. Last 60 days, 11%. And yeah, last 90 days, 18%. So he hasn't been as reactive as Jordan Poole, but he's actually shown some glimpses in the preseason. He had a really impressive first game. But yeah, just watching him at the start of the regular season at the moment, he's playing a new role. I don't know if any of you guys, if many of you guys follow KPJ. He actually was drafted as a shooting guard / small forward, but Houston are trialing him out in the point guard role. So in trying him out in a new role, you've also got to expect some difficulties. And right now, I think it was evident as well last season when he was playing, and that's going to be his inefficient shooting as well as his turnovers. And yeah, even watching a couple of games, like I love Kevin Porter Jr. I love what he's going to potentially bring to Houston, but he does make some pretty dumb passes and some pretty poor decisions. So I think with investors, people are expecting him to be someone ridiculous. I even saw on blowout forums that people were saying, oh, who's a better investment at the moment? Michael Porter Jr. or Kevin Porter Jr.? Who was the better Porter Jr. investment? And a lot of people were surprisingly saying Kevin Porter Jr., but I would 100% take Michael Porter Jr. over KPJ just with his height and his elite efficiency as well. So with Kevin Porter Jr. this season, you're going to expect some difficulties, and I think people have to expect that. I've said it in my investment video. I actually think that with Kevin Porter Jr., we could expect some sort of like Devontae Graham 2019 to 20 year where he averages like 18 points, 7 assists, and it's all around 38% field goal percentage, which is inefficient. So I hope that's not the case, and he does work on that, but yeah, I think you can give him a little bit of a longer leash, but don't be expecting crazy things like him being an all-star this season. Maybe in a couple of years' time, but it really is another year to develop, because he also missed the start of last season due to being suspended as well. So it really, yeah, if he can really lock down this role, he can really have his second full season in reality compared to last season. But yeah, for me personally, I have sold a couple of my high-end KPJs, which I will show, but going through his Prism PSA 10 and his Silver PSA 10s, he's got a high pop. As I said with Jordan Poole, he had like 400 PSA 10s for the base, and Kevin Porter Jr., who people believe in a little bit more beforehand, he's got a pop count of 3,449. But you can see a little steady increase with the Silver. Currently now with the ending price of just under $470. Prism base, I mean, yeah, you look 3 months ago, was going for $62 US, and now going for $90. So a little bit of a bump there, but yeah, I wouldn't want to be holding these long term as the PSA backlog sort of clears. And yeah, like I said with Kevin Porter Jr., I did sell. I think this is the thing. Like being a Houston fan, this is where my emotion has to separate when it comes to investing and collecting. So I really did look at these two cards. I love Kevin Porter Jr. I'm glad I'm finally be able to collect a Houston player, and I still have some Kevin Porter Jr.'s. But when you buy this card here for $200 and then this card here for $100, I think you just got to take some profit and look past the whole emotion side of it. I will want to buy in the future, because I do think his prices will drop back down again, especially with Houston not going to make the playoffs. So I think Kevin Porter Jr. is not immune to staying high this whole season. So, he's also not immune to my emotions when it comes to sports card investing, even though he plays for my favorite team. But I think that's just something to note as well with Kevin Porter Jr. You just have to take profit as well with that. Roll it over into some nicer cards again at the end of the season. Nothing wrong with that, but I wouldn't be I wouldn't be against if you tried to sell him right now. Third player, another Houston player I do want to talk about, but in the MLB, a sport I don't know too much about, but I follow sort of loosely, and that's Yordan Alvarez. So I do want to speak about Yordan Alvarez for a few things. So a lot of people don't like investing in Houston Astro players because of the whole cheating scandal in 2017, I think it was. But with Jordan Alvarez, he actually wasn't playing in that season, so he's also not immune to that as well. People still don't want to invest in because of that whole scandal. They just think like, oh, if you're on the Astros, you're automatically part of that scandal, and we don't want to invest in you. But the thing with Jordan Alvarez is against the Boston Red Sox, he had a great series, and he actually had a ridiculously good series, and now he's in the World Series against the Atlanta Braves. But something I just wanted to note with baseball, and I've always noticed it with baseball, especially with baseball being the oldest sports card market going around, but I've always noticed with Topps rookies, Topps paper, Topps chrome, base and refractors, they don't actually move too much unless you're like at an MVP level, I've noticed. So with Jordan Alvarez, this is the past 30 days. His refractors sort of come down a little bit over there, and then his prism-based PSA 9 has gone up. And he's relatively low pop compared to some other 2020 rookies, but again, more in the backlog as well. But I actually think this is almost a bit of a sign of what potentially could be the future of basketball sports cards, where the market isn't as reactive when you see, when someone has a great game. So I've always noticed with baseball, like the market isn't as reactive when someone plays well, and like if there's an increase, it's like 10 to 20% over a whole season. Meanwhile, in the NBA, you see people's cards double in the span of a day. So I think this is sort of the thing. But the thing with basketball is you're not seeing that crazy like 10 times sort of jump in a day as much anymore. I guess with like your Jamal Murray's when he had that sort of crazy series, as well as like your Kyle Guys, Talon Horton Tucker, and all that sort of stuff. So I think with basketball, it is going to become a little bit closer like baseball when you're seeing these sort of increases. And I've noted that with baseball as well. That's why I'm a little bit reluctant to invest with baseball, because it's not as reactive. You've almost got to know the sport really well to see a player go up long term. So I think, yeah, like that's what I've just sort of noticed with baseball. So like I don't know, if you guys invest in baseball long term, do let me know in the comments if you have noticed that a little bit more compared to basketball, where the market's not as reactive as much as basketball. And I think it's been around for a long period of time. So maybe baseball investors are just not prone to being reactive. So yeah, I just wanted to note that with the Jordan Alvarez, who's been playing well, and hopefully the Astros, for my sake and probably not the majority of America's sake, do win the World Series. But yeah, to finish off the Market Watch episode, we'll go through the biggest rises over the past 100 days. And something I did want to add over I wanted to add was actually filtering by number of sales. So I'm doing it to 20, minimum 20 over the past 7 days, because if you just keep it at 0, you'll get these one sales, this player who has one sale and his price has gone up 1,000%. And that makes no sense, because obviously, you can obviously change it obviously influences it a little bit more if there's only one sale, but at least if you get more than 20 sales, you can see a bit more consistency, and we can make a judgment on that based of proper events that are actually happening. So starting off, I don't know too many. Javonte Williams, Denver Broncos, Cullen Mond, someone you'll see him in my future mail day. I did speak about him in the Vikings. Stephon Diggs. Jordan Alvarez, there we go, up 26% over the last 7 days, perfectly matching up with his play. Derrick Henry, another great example, playing ridiculously well for the Tennessee Titans right now in the NFL, and he's on track for a record-breaking season. And you can see the huge amount of sales as well. Jamar Chase as well is in there, but high amount of sales, and that's a proper way to see how much a player has gone up, because you've got a lot of sales and their price has gone up as well. So it's not just the one sale, like I was saying, that's gone up. Jarrett Stidham, I don't know why he's gone up. John Collins, start of the NBA season, made a bit of excitement. Obi Toppin, Drew Lock, people maybe potentially investing just because, with Teddy Bridgewater not playing as well, people anticipating that Drew Lock may potentially start. Patrick Ewing, Eric Pascal, Chris Paul, Deshaun Watson, trade rumors potentially to Miami. Who else are we seeing here? Rob Gronkowski, Marvin Bagley, Kobe White, Ja Morant playing well to start off the season. There you go, 12% there. Kevin Huerter, De'Aaron Fox, James Wiseman, who's not playing at all right now. Ozzy Albers in the Braves team that the Astros are about to face. Nikola Jokic, Jalen Waddle, LaMelo Ball. There you go, another great start to the season. Tyler Hero having a great preseason on top of a regular season to start off. Desmond Bain, who's locked down that starting position role, along with D'Anthony Melton until Dylan Brooks comes back. Bam Adebayo, Darius Garland, Cam Reddish, who's had a great start. So a lot of modern NBA here, which is a great sign. And the Time Lord, who played 44 minutes the other day, which I was super surprised about. Like, they always have him on a minute restriction, and to see him play a double overtime game, I'm really happy with. So let's go through the biggest losers. So again, easy to note some things. Kadarius Toney, currently out injured, but actually there's been a bright spot for that Giants team. Davis Mills, Texans quarterback, who had a great game, but has followed up with a couple poor games, but not his fault really. Rondale Moore, Antonio Gibson, who's injured. Anything else we can note here? Justin Fields, he's probably just going to keep going down throughout the season. Kenny Martin Jr. is not getting any playing time at all, so very obvious there. Zach Wilson, someone I do want to target, and I will be watching Zach Wilson each week, I think, on Market Moves, just because he's going to be very interesting for me in the future. Isaiah Stewart, MJ, Larry Bird, Devontae Graham, Laviska Shenault. Anything else you want to know? Christian McCaffrey is just injured. Poor bloke. Just getting injured like the last couple of years a fair bit. Jackson Hayes, Kawhi Leonard still out injured. Russell Wilson's out injured as well. You see a little Kevin Porter Jr.'s in there as well. Phil Foden. So yeah, I mean, these are all very minimal losses, but yeah, that's over the past 7 days. So that's another episode of the Market Watch series. I really do appreciate it if you've made it to the end. If you do like this series, do let me know in the comments below, and also let me know who you guys are buying up currently, or if you're selling right now as well, do let me know as well. But if you enjoy the series, do hit the like button and hit subscribe as always, and I'll see you all in future videos. Take care.